In our digital world, there's this constant, invisible war being fought every single second. It's a battle of bits and bytes where attackers are always looking for a way in, and defenders are working literally around the clock to keep them out. But what does that defense actually look like? It's not just some fancy firewall or a strong password, it's a real command center, and today we're going to take you inside.
First, let's just get a handle on the stakes here. A recent survey of IT security pros found that a mind-blowing 77% of their organizations were compromised by a cyber attack in just the last 12 months. That is more than 3 out of every 4. This isn't some hypothetical what if. For most companies, it's really a matter of when, not if.
So with all these threats coming from every direction, who's actually on that digital watchtower? Who's the one sifting through all the noise, connecting the dots, and actually fighting back when an attack gets through? Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
The answer lies in this centralized hub, a digital command and control room that's basically the nerve center for a company's entire cyber defense. In the industry, they call it the Security Operations Center, or SOC for short.
A SOC, or SOC, as you'll hear people call it, is pretty much mission control for cybersecurity. It's this fusion of highly skilled people, very specific procedures, and some really powerful technology. Their one and only mission is to protect the organization 24/7. And it's that special combination, people, process, and tech, that makes it all work. You pull one of those legs out, and the whole stool just topples over.
And while the tech is super impressive, it's really just a tool. The true heart of any SOC, the real engine, is its people. And the analysts on this digital front line, well, they are under a type of pressure that honestly, most of us just can't wrap our heads around.
And check this out, this quote from a cybersecurity pro on Reddit. It just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the classic catch-22 so many of them face, right? It's this super high-stakes job that demands hands-on experience. But how are you supposed to get that experience if nobody will hire you without it? It shows the battle isn't just against hackers, it's for their own careers.
And once they're in the door, the challenges are huge. Analysts are dealing with this relentless flood of data, which leads to something called alarm fatigue. Basically, so many alerts go off that it becomes nearly impossible to spot the ones that actually matter. And they often get stuck in swivel chair analysis, literally spinning in their chairs from one monitor to another, juggling dozens of different tools just to piece together a single incident. You can see how this high-pressure, fragmented world is a perfect recipe for burnout.
Okay, so you've got this complete chaos and a constant threat of burnout. How do you even begin to build a defense that actually works? You can't have everyone doing everything all at once. You need a system. You need structure. And for most organizations, that structure is a 3-tiered model.
The logic behind it is actually pretty simple. You start with this massive, chaotic flood of alerts. The tiered model acts like a giant funnel, filtering out all the noise at each level so that only the most critical, the most complex threats actually make it to your top experts. It's all about bringing a little order to the chaos.
And here's how that funnel works. It all starts with Tier 1. These are your first responders. They're the ones watching the screens, dealing with that initial flood, and weeding out all the obvious false alarms. Now, if something looks genuinely suspicious, they kick it up to Tier 2. These are the investigators, the detectives, who do the deep dive into the data. And for the really complex, ghost-in-the-machine type threats, well, that's when Tier 3 gets the call. These are the expert threat hunters who actually go looking for trouble before it even starts.
So you can really see that division of labor clearly here. Tier 1 is all about volume control, just monitoring and filtering. Tier 2 takes over for the deep investigation and containment. And Tier 3, man, they are playing a totally different game. They're doing stuff like malware reverse engineering, which is basically taking malicious software apart piece by piece to see how it works. And they're helping shape the entire company's long-term security strategy. Every single tier is absolutely critical.
You know, a good SOC does way more than just put out fires. A great SOC is constantly learning, adapting, and maturing its strategy. It's about shifting from just being reactive to being truly resilient, able to see an attack coming and withstand it.
So how do you even measure that maturity? Well, it starts with 2 key numbers. The first is mean time to detect, or MTTD. The best way to think about this is like the smoke detector in your house. How long does it take from the moment a fire actually starts to the moment the alarm goes off? Every single second counts, because the longer an attacker is roaming around your network unnoticed, the more damage they can do.
And the second key number is mean time to respond, or MTTR. So if MTTD is the smoke alarm, MTTR is how fast the fire department shows up and actually puts the fire out.
Once you know there's a problem, how quickly can you shut it down? A low MTTR is the difference between a small kitchen fire and, your whole house going up in flames.
And that right there is why these numbers are just so unbelievably important. The total time an attacker has free reign inside your network is called dwell time. And the longer that dwell time, the more data they can steal, the more systems they can infect, and the more expensive the whole cleanup operation becomes. For a defender, the clock is always the enemy.
And get this, the numbers are absolutely staggering. One report found that just by cutting that attacker dwell time down from a month to only 1 week, a company can slash the financial damage of that attack by a massive 77%. Speed isn't just a cool tech goal, it's a huge financial one.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we get even faster? How do we shrink those numbers down even more? Well, the future of the SOC seems to lie in this really powerful new partnership, augmenting human expertise with the incredible speed and scale of artificial intelligence.
And look, this isn't just about buying another fancy piece of software. AI is poised to fundamentally reshape that entire three-tiered structure we were just talking about. By automating all those high-volume, repetitive tasks that cause so much burnout, it frees up the human analysts to focus on what they really do best.
And this is what that new partnership looks like. You let the AI handle the grunt work, sifting through millions of alerts, correlating data in seconds, and flagging the real threats. This frees up the human analysts to do the things AI just can't do: creative threat hunting, long-term strategic planning, and mentoring the next generation of defenders. It's a true force multiplier.
So what's the payoff? Well, it hits on every single problem we've talked about so far. That all-important mean time to detect plummets because the AI is just so fast. Analyst burnout goes down because the machine is handling all the noise, and the whole system just gets smarter over time, learning from every single new attack it sees. It tackles those core challenges of speed, scale, and human endurance head-on.
So, this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In this relentless cybersecurity battle, victory isn't going to come from human intuition alone. And it's not going to come from the raw speed of machines either. The future of defense, the SOC of tomorrow, it isn't about choosing one over the other. It's going to be about a seamless, powerful partnership between them both.